All right, we're gonna start over. Accept the minutes to last month's meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Jason makes motion. Second, Mary?
Second. Yep.
Pay last month's bills.
I'll make it.
Jason,
Second.
Mary. All right, Water Department's report is, our famous backyards, Chase, Brescia, and Vaughnburg properties.
Well, if I remember correctly, John Zarowski was supposed to check in with the health department. How'd you make out, John?
Mary actually sent an email about that. I got about the same answers from Dan Keeler at the health department. Basically, you can shut it off if you need to as a threat. And I forget what else was there. And you can, the another thing you can do is you can condemn the property and take it as well if you really want that. It's up to you.
Well,
But no, they don't say, they have no problem with you, doing what you got to do.
Right. We can, John, correct me if I'm wrong. We could turn it off temporarily to do the fix, but we can't permanently shut off until they remedy the situation.
Well, Dan was saying that only applies if there is a renter situation.
Okay.
And if they're all owners, then they're all responsible, and they only step in if there's a renter, like involved. So you can't shut the water off to a tenant, basically.
So we could turn off indefinitely as a response to them not complying.
Yes, that's basically what Dan is saying. They'll
Okay.
jump pretty quickly if you turn their water off. So have you done anything to repair it at all, or are you just still leaking?
No, it's still leaking. We're, waiting for an answer from the board
Okay,
on what we want to do.
got it.
you're able to shut that water off in the middle of winter?
Apparently, yeah. Or threaten. I would say you would threatening shutting it off at first. Give them a notice that, they need to basically put it on them to remedy it.
I
Make them-
think, go ahead, John.
No, I think you actually, Bridget was actually more informative than Dan was. So
She's very good at this.
yes.
I guess the question is, what do our rules, obviously, if there's imminent danger or threat to the water system or other public health and safety, we can step in at whatever time we want and do and make whatever remedies we want. Anything beyond that, do we have anything in our own local rules and regulations that dictate 30 days notice, 5 days notice, certified mail? Do we have a protocol set up that we need to be following in order to provide this kind of notification?
10 days notice for a leak. It's in your code
10 days
book.
one for,
114.
okay. So then if that's what we've got, that's what we follow.
But that's definitely not the issue. The issue is whether or not the board wants us to repair it or whether the board wants the homeowners to repair it.
I want the homeowners to repair it.
So that's really what we're looking at.
So do we need a motion to make the homeowners replace it, send them a letter, give them their 10 days, and if not, we shut their water off?
Yeah,
Why should we continue to go? I've been on the water board 2 years. This item right here has been here for 2 years, and I'm sure it's been here longer.
been there quite a long time.
And I'm sick of, when I was on the village board, I know that Pete and the highway guys and the water guys went over there multiple times to do repairs, so I don't think it should be our responsibility if they don't want to give us the easement.
So can we turn the water line over to them, basically?
Well, it's theirs now, right? Exactly. Because you don't own an easement. Technically, it's theirs.
Right.
All right, so then let's make a motion that we.
Right. I mean, we went through the motions to offer taking it over and getting an easement, but that's what we need, and they refused.
All right, so I'll make a motion that, does Marie write that letter?
Well, whether or not you want an attorney to do it legally, or whether you want it to just, come from the board. would be also up to you guys.
I think it's Greg Wallace.
I think I want to get the attorney involved.
It should come from.
Right, we should get him in, if you want, we wrote that letter, very similar letter just a while ago for the water services that were combined. It's just a very similar letter. If you want me to write it, I can forward it to everybody and get Craig involved to review it.
Can you see that, John?
So
Yep.
what do you need, the motion that John's gonna write the letter to these 5 homeowners?
Yes.
I'll write we'll just send me their address information, or have Marie send it to me,
All right.
and I'll generate the 5 letters. Should I copy everybody? Well, maybe that's a Craig question. Copy each of the homeowners on the other person's letter, so that they're aware that all 5 of them need to be involved here.
Yeah, I would do that.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're making a motion that John Sharowski is gonna write a letter.
Okay. We'll get that started so we can get this remedied as quick as possible.
Craig Wallace for review.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's my motion right there.
Got a
And that the
second?
homeowners need to, it's their
Their
responsibility.
responsibility. You get a second?
I'll second.
You get a second?
Real quick, do
All
you
in
want this, oh, sorry,
Okay, no, okay.
do you want this letter to be the 10-day letter? Do you want it to be, since there's 5 parties, do you want to give them
I think
longer
you,
time period? What do you
I
want to do?
think you incorporate it. So you basically are discussing that you've attempted to get the easements unsuccessfully, and therefore you're following the code 148, which requires them to make the repair within.
That's village code, you said?
Right. I'll cite village code in the letter saying that they have 10 days to remedy or the water will be turned off.
Now, what are we, is it leaking, are we talking about just the leak, or are we talking about remedying the whole situation right now?
We're talking the leak, I guess.
Okay.
Are all 5 responsible for the leak?
I guess that's my question.
I would say,
I realize, I was thinking that too. I was thinking that too. It's leaking at what, the one house?
Well, we think it's on what I'm gonna call the main service line that feeds the houses. It's on one of the persons out of the 5's property. But, there's no way we're gonna be able to tell you exactly where it is in regards to.
That's a good
whether-
answer. Yeah. So we can say, because we can't tell where it is, that we will be turning off all 5, that all 5 of them are impacted.
It was marked by our leak detector, and if we were going to do it, we know the area within a 5x5 box, but can I tell you exactly what it is? No.
Right. Okay. But, okay. I'll put a letter together and send it out for everybody to review, including Craig, and we'll take it from there. All right.
Okay.
Hopefully we're going to be done talking about this soon.
Well, the homeowner gets the letter.
Yeah.
And you're really,
well, they'll be here.
I think that'll get their attention.
All right, can I get a motion on that? All right, you already made a motion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Water chairman report.
Yeah, I think, what Patrick always, his concern is,
Usage.
usage, so if we go over to that sheet, which is, page 10 of 21. Mary, did you get this by any chance? Did Marie send you any of this information or no?
Unless it was in an email, I haven't gotten anything in the physical mail.
Yeah, it would have been the email from the other day.
Take a look.
Yeah, it was sent by email.
The
by Mary.
lane, yep, got it.
Yep.
So, oh, okay, good. So basically, we're on page 10 of 21. And in the column, all the way to the left on top, it says treated water. So if you look all the way at the bottom, we have that average at 494,000 gallons for the month. So from the previous month, we were at 576,000 gallons. We repaired the 8-inch water main on the 7th. So you can kind of see from the 7th going forward to the end of the month, the numbers have definitely went back down again. You'll see some 400s in there. And so, you know, we were able to get it back down under 500,000 gallons. So clearly made a huge, significant difference in the months.
And we have 2 leaks that we know of still going, obviously one being Prospect and one being a leak at Berkeley School.
Also, you also have Fenless Road. So, you know, all 3 of these leaks are all on private property. So they're all aware of the leaks. And I mean, I'm in contact with Brian in regards to List Road. Probably not a bad idea to get Brian involved as well, John Zarowski. Maybe send that letter over to him as well, the building inspector, so he's aware of what needs to be done as well.
Okay.
You know, at Berkeley Square, it is a leak, but it's a leak that they're paying for because it's after their meter. So, you know, that part of it is not that it's the best situation, but they are paying for it.
Right.
Right
So
now,
the-
Kenny, I assume what they're leaking is not impacting what we need quantity-wise to serve everybody else?
It is not. So it's a leak on their fire system. And what happens is that when the water leaks, it drops the pressure down to about 125 PSI. And then their jockey pump comes on and it pushes it to about 150. And it's going on about every minute and a half or so. But what happens is it drops the level of water in their tank. And when the level of the water in your tank gets to a certain height, then they would, you know, fill the tank, which would go through the meter. But no, it's not affecting anything in regards to if they repaired it, we would, you know, have significantly more water to supply to everyone else. That's not the case.
But we still should send them a letter saying they need to fix it.
Well, they definitely know they need to fix it, but yeah, I mean, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
I mean, this was
So,
similar
you know,
to the overflow we were just dealing with a couple months ago. When
Yes.
the altitude valve on the tank was going.
They have made attempts, so they brought a leak detector in.
Mhm.
They actually used the same person that we do. We hooked them up. George located it, but they haven't done any further work because George needs them to drill holes in their brand new parking lot. So they're a little bit hesitant, but they do know that they have to do it. So yeah, we can do that. I'll give Brian a call and, you know, send him a letter. He is aware of what's going on, less the letter. So, you know, I'll get that done.
Yeah, I just think we should put them on notice. That's all.
Sure.
Maybe we'll leave the 10-day thing out, but you know, at least say you need to remedy this.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if we did give them the 10 days, they've had, you know, certainly have, you know, had time.
Yeah, give
Okay.
them
I'll leave it in.
You know, since the leak detector was there, they've, you know, had plenty of time.
how long's it been?
You know, the issue is that George would have to come back even after they drill a hole. in which for him to specifically pinpoint where the leak is. So, it's gonna be dependent on that. So in regards to the 10 days, it would be 10 days after the leak would be pinpointed. So, I'll talk to Brian.
I mean, if they're gonna drill a hole to pinpoint it, maybe they should just dig a hole to find the leak.
Well,
I mean, aren't you close enough now that you know where the leak is? Approximately?
No, George, the way he works is he will not do anything unless he specifically draws a box approximately 5 by 5, notifying them of where he believes the leak is, and
Okay.
that's what they're paying him for. He's
Okay.
very conscious about that. So I will definitely ask them if those holes have been drilled and what the status of George returning is. And in the meantime, I'll get a hold of Brian and tell him to send them a letter, kind of pushing it forward.
Okay.
I don't think the 10 days is gonna work.
I mean, digging a hole in the parking lot right now, obviously you're not paving until March, but
Well, the
that's
10
a month away.
would be 10 days from the point George locates. I think that would be fair.
Let's do that. Let's go that route.
Yeah,
If George is busy, which you know he is.
right. That's why I say after it's marked, we're kind of depending on George, which honestly, he could have done right there and then if they were, prepared to do that, which they weren't. So, they have to pay George again for him to come back because right there and then they didn't want to drill the holes. They wanted to get whatever permission. So, they have to pay him a rate again. So that's up to them.
How big is this?
Well, I mean, it's hard to quantify, but it's a leak that every minute and a half, that jockey pump kicks on. So it's dropping the tank, in a week, fairly significant.
I thought he was figuring it out.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically, honestly, John. It's definitely kind of hard to quantify because you'd have to determine the drop in the tank itself over a period of time.
Oh, I'm talking about the meter reading.
I'm sorry?
The meter reading.
Oh, yes, yeah, we got that, but you also have to remember that includes when they do their test for the weekly fire system, so. Actually, I think you might be right, John, we did, but it wasn't a lot, a couple gallons a minute.
All in all, it's not a huge leak, but
It's
it
not
is a
a
leak.
huge leak.
We all know leaks
Yes.
don't fix themselves.
So that's where we're at with that.
Yep. All right. Operations report review.
So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but I believe Marie sent out a copy of the well rehab report for 7A.
Yeah.
So after review of the report, there was some discussion about significant losses of specific capacity and the short-lived effectiveness of the rehab of the well. So Lane was suggesting that we possibly figure some other things out when we go to clean the well the next time because of these diminished returns. So after review, I sent them an email back, or had Marie send an email back looking for specific information. So what they had requested was that we consider possibly doing a bunch of different samples prior to the actual cleaning itself. And also upon questioning them, it was determined that based on the way that they did it, in regards to the static level is part of what they determined the effectiveness of their cleaning was. And the issue is that we have to use the other well that's right next to the one we're cleaning. So we don't have the luxury of shutting a well off for a significant period of time, getting the real true static level. So when I asked them about that, they said yes, that was definitely going to have a significant bearing. So although the report seems very alarming, based on my questioning them, it wasn't so alarming anymore. But if the board wants to consider different types of cleaning materials, we could certainly do so at the next time that we need to, clean one of the wells. So if you had any questions, I can certainly take them. Otherwise, we'll kind of figure that out at the time that we go to do the next cleaning.
That's next year, next week.
Well, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna have them, we just did 7A.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have them come back and test well 7. And once they test well 7, during that test, it's gonna be a determining factor as to whether or not that one has to be revamped as well. So that's where we're at with that. So along with that, there was a situation when we did well 7A, when they put it back together and started it up, there was some vibration. So after a little bit of an investigation, we found out that it was the clutch that goes around the actual shaft itself was larger than what it was supposed to be. So we had to make up some new clutches, and we had an older clutch on some of the spares that we had in the green trailer down there. So we were able to put that on, and that was successful. So now we had them make another clutch, and we're going to put that on the spare motor that we have. So our electrician, Ray Armstrong, had suggested that based on the fact that the existing motor that's in the green trailer has been sitting for a specific period of time, a long time, that when they come down to do this test, that they take that motor up to Troy Motors and let them do a test on it to make sure that before we take this one off to work on the bearings and find out where this little oil leak is, that we determine that this spare motor that we have is good, and we don't need to change the oil or change any of the bearings based on the period of time it's been sitting. So once that gets done, we're gonna take the motor that's existing on well 7, take that off, put the spare on, and then we'll rehab that one as needed.
Great. All right. Any new business?
Yeah, I got new business, actually.
Okay.
Buckingham Estates, I hear they backed out.
At the moment, yeah, they didn't like the fact that they still had to pay recreational fees. So I don't know if we want to continue negotiating with them and see if we can, or
I wouldn't, I guess it is what it is. We lost 375,000, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's why we only authorized the 30% on the plan. So we'll get them cleaned up and ready to go. But until we get more money or USDA funding, there's no point in taking it any further than that.
what were we gonna do with that money if we get it?
The USDA money,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll pay for both tanks and the filter plant. we'll be able to get either grants and or low interest loans.
I much rather, just my opinion,
The filtration plant.
do the filtration and leave the water tanks alone.
Well, you're gonna have to do something with Windlass for maintenance, because it's due. And
Well,
and it was flagged by Dan at the health department.
It's gonna be inspected in the summer of 2021. That'll determine the interior, and its need for any repairs. Most of the repairs from the last report, which was in 2018, was all exterior, which we have not done. Any of it, not one.
Who does that? You guys?
No, we wouldn't do it, you know, a true, tank company.
Do we have money in the budget for that?
You have to look at the numbers, I don't really know.
Do you know what it costs?
It was about $1 million.
I don't remember,
To service that
honestly.
tank?
I don't remember
Yes.
what the numbers were, honestly.
That was the payment, right? Correct?
To scrape it, and
Yeah, I think we were talking about $1 million to maintain that tank, which is why we were looking at that and the money from Buckingham. So, I mean, if it's,
300.
if we can, like I said, we've already put in for the tank money for, with the USDA. We'll get what we get from them.
That money has to be used for that, though. It's not like we can take it and put it towards the sand filter.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, basically.
So what are we doing about the sand filter?
We should be going along with it.
But yeah, we're working on the design for the water filter plant. The green sand filters. We're working on that right now. In fact, Ken, my control guys kind of want to come out and look at the existing facility this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
I'll have them coordinate that with you or John. Just they want to
Okay.
make sure they tie in all the because the two buildings need to talk to one another, and the tanks. They want to kind of see what you've got
Yes.
there. All right.
I just want to make sure that we incorporate Hungerford and Terry, because they actually did the panel, in the softener room. So I just want to make sure, that somehow gets looped in.
Yeah, what we probably do, well, I'm not the control guy, but what they do is they just piggyback off that signal. They don't actually modify it. They just piggyback off of it with either, I think they call them, they're just relays that will register the relay of the existing system. So, and then talk to the new plant. So the new plant will know what the old building is doing, and turn it on and off if necessary. But they'll figure out the controls. These guys
So
are
when
really
you're
good.
saying controls, are we talking about people who know electricity portion of it, or people who know SCADA portion of it?
These
or
guys
both?
know both. These guys do both. We've done quite a few of these plants throughout the state. So we did the modernization on Wallkill where they can walk around anywhere with a little tablet and look at the status of the entire water system from any point and control it remotely if they need to. So like they can tell you what a tank level is, and they put that all together. Plus we just did finish the Braeside water plant there. And again, that was all the SCADA controls and the electric for all the motors and everything. So these guys are really good.
Okay, so what's the name of the company? Because we currently use Aaron's to do the Logix portion of it. So, that still has to be all coordinated, because I don't want to go to different people to be able to figure out the problems. I want, a single company to be able to know if we have an issue, how everything works.
Okay, well, we have to, when we actually go out to construction, we have to put this out to bid. And when we go out to a public bid, we can't specify a contractor or a vendor. That's not allowed by state law.
I understand that part of it.
So
All
we
I'm
either,
saying-
so either have to upgrade both if they, or just piggyback off it and you have two separate ones. And I can do both. I mean,
Yeah.
at some point I have to get into the existing building because the controls for the tanks and the pumps and the wells are going to be controlled by the green sand filter building, not by the softener.
Yep, I'm certainly understanding that. Just be aware that Aaron's, as long as they have the information, the mapping of how everything, is going to work. And, they'll have the ability to figure it out if we have problems.
Well,
That's
make sure
the
we do
main-
that. As far as who's going to design the controls, it's Casey Engineering, by the way. We do the controls as well. We'll design the controls for them. Again, but when we go out to bids, somebody's going to bid on the controls portion of the project because this will be over $500,000. It's going to go Wick's Law, so I'm going to have separate contractors.
Yeah,
And we're
I
stuck
just
with who we get. Unfortunately, the beauty of the municipal system is the low bidder gets it, and usually they made a mistake. So,
As long as we have the ability to figure things out, that's the main thing.
right.
Um,
Okay, well, I mean, we can certainly talk to them about the system you're using and we'll try and they'll try and incorporate it into the information we're putting in. I mean, we can specify parts and things, but we can't specify contractors. So I can have a required part, like no substitute allowed on a particular piece of something if it is deemed like, how can I put it? If it's deemed like single source type of thing, I can specify a specific function. Or usually a lot of times we're using, even Aaron's is using, there's a couple of control programs. You can specify the control program that we're using so that they'll be easily able to understand it and work the logic in if you ever need to modify it or adjust it.
Yeah, just keep them in the loop, and as long as they have the ability to bid on it as well, then that's fine.
Absolutely. Everybody's going to have everybody's allowed to bid on it, but just work with if you can, just talk to the guys, John or Ken, be with them and walk them through how the system is controlled because they're going to need to know where to pick up the information, where to pick up the power, where to pick up everything, how to connect the two buildings so that they talk together. All that stuff, we need all that so that we can move this forward. So like I said, these buildings really they're two separate buildings, but they're one function.
That'll cover that. If we can, we will.
Well, anything you can show them would be great.
Of course.
If not, I mean, maybe we reach out to Aaron's and have them, give us
Sure.
what they've done. And
Yes.
and then if they can give us some of the proprietary stuff that makes it single source that we can build into the contract, I mean, we can make it so it's going to be beneficial for them to bid on it and get rid of maybe some of the lesser. You never want to cheap out on the controls. That's the one thing that you want to make sure is top notch. So.
Yeah, we just have to remember that the control panel in the softener room is Hungerford and Terry. The control panel in the UV room is Trojan. So, now we're adding that third one and.
Right, and we're going to be setting up a system that's going to use like, I forget, RS means or something like that. No, RS. It's going to be using a control program for the logic that will take all the signals from all of the pieces and put them into one large SCADA control so that they're all working together. And where that goes, whether it's in the building you're in or in the new building, I guess is just based on where we have room for it.
Okay,
I'm confident that when we meet your guys, I'll be able to show them what we have.
Okay. Thanks.
Confident that Aaron's will be able to, we'll be able to handle whoever and whatever system gets the bid. So Aaron's is a very good company.
Right.
They work with Trojan and Hungerford and Terry and their own system right now. Our current SCADA system, so I'm sure another system is not that much of a
Right, and like I said, if we know what system they're using, what software they're using for their system, we can specify that. We can make that proprietary information in the contract that they have to go with this controls so that the buildings talk. We can write that right into the specs. So, and that's why I want my guys out there talking to you guys about it, and then also if Aaron's is available, even just for a phone conversation to what they're doing. And what controls they're already picking up that we can piggyback off of and not duplicate. So
Sure. That's good.
So what's the turnaround on this grant money?
we got a couple of comments back that we need to, some of the financial stuff needs to be cleaned up. Part of that. So we're working on that right now, the USDA application. And I think once that's done, that's continuous. So there's not a, like the EFC money is once a year type of thing. This is a continuous. So once we get the application in, they'll review it and they'll make a determination. So hopefully, and what they're looking for specifically is they're trying to keep, I think 897 is like the maximum annual average user, like the residential user, the annual average cost to the user is 892 or 897 right now. So anything over that, they usually give you a grant for. Anything under that is usually a low interest loan to keep it so that you don't go over the maximum amount allowed by state law.
And we put in for what, 1.5?
We put in for a whole bunch. We put in for both. So we put in for I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it was for 2 tanks and the filter plant. So, I mean, the filter plant was, 1.5. The 2 tanks were a couple million each. So I think we put in for like 7 million, I want to say. So I don't know the number off the top of my head, unfortunately.
All right.
I can get that if you want me to.
Yeah, I mean, no rush. Next meeting would be fine.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm going to have to make sure we reach out to Marie and get some of the costs. We're getting it piecemeal through Corey, but I think I need to just sit down with Marie and have a, like, what's your annual cost per user? It's what you need for any water district. Of course, the village doesn't have a specific water district. It's one giant one. But when you're setting up water districts, there's a number that you can't go past. So, and maybe it's conducive to go way past it and get lots of grant money. I don't know. All right. So yeah, we're working on that. The tank, we're just moving ahead. Again, that's just to 30%. You let me know what you want me to do with that, but said the filter plant's moving ahead much faster. I mean, I would prefer to do both tanks at once if we can.
Well, if you can get all the money, then yeah. If we don't get all the money, I'd much rather just do that sand filter because it seems to be the most important thing, right?
Right. Definitely. And if they're not going ahead, there's no rush to get that other tank up or change the tanks. There's no reason to raise the pressure. I mean, is what it is. It's low pressure up there. When you have a fire, they're in trouble. People don't have water during a fire like we had last February.
We don't get many fires on that side of the village, so we're all right.
Yeah, no more fires. Yeah, no more fires allowed. But I mean, without Buckingham going ahead, I mean, there's just no rush. So, but he was under the impression that he was only paying the 370, the 275,
375.
375. Yeah. He thought that was all he was paying and that he didn't have any other fees. That was everything incorporated. So
probably well over $1 million to the village.
I don't know. You'd think right now housing is going crazy. You'd think he'd be pushing this. So
Yeah, he'll make that money back.
Yeah. Right. It's kind of crazy. My house has picked up $140,000 in equity in a year. Like, I was flat a year ago and now I've got like 140,000 sitting there. It's like, hey, where'd that come from?
Thanks, Tom.
All paper money. It's all fake money until you cash out, I guess. But yeah, that's really all I've got going on. So,
We definitely need it because Kenny's got a pipe, heating pipe, for manganese in it.
It's pretty bad. I don't know how difficult it is to.
yeah, I can see it. It's not supposed to be black inside.
No, it's not. So this is on a heating system and he's had some difficulty and he just wanted to show me, I wanted to show the board, and that pipe is only 1 year old. So we've had, several continuous dirty water complaints. So, the need for the filter is there, that's for sure.
Right. We're pushing to get the plans ready for like end of March area. But
Whatever.
again,
They did some survey in there, get work.
Last week.
Last week, I told you, I got a text. Nosy neighbor.
Not in the village.
Never. Close to the outside. So that covers it. That covers it good. Unless anybody has any- Anybody else have any questions or want to bring up something?
Nope.
No. You're good? I'm good. Harry, you good?
oh, we have to do next month's meeting.
Yeah, I was just getting to that. March
Okay.
8th.
I just remembered. Yeah, I was just scrolling up to the meeting minutes. Okay.
That second Monday would be March 8th.
Okay.
And we're still not doing an O and M, correct?
No, I don't think that's necessary, I guess, if we're covering everything here.
You guys are good for boundary.
Yeah.
I mean, Kenny reaches out to me whenever he needs me anyway. So,
All right. Thank you.
all right. We still they haven't finished that water service on South Main Street.
Yeah, I mean, it's an open trench.
Yeah.
I spoke to Brian about it, the building inspector, and it appears as though he has no control or ability to, push the project because it's state.
State's
involved.
Right. And they can't even get into the building. So right now to finish what they need to do. So that's what's holding it up is they can't get into the building.
I mean, shouldn't that have been figured out prior to then?
Now, well, I think the push was to get the connection in the DOT right away because the permit was timing out. So that was the big push, was to get the connection and out of the right of way. So so the permit could go.
I mean, I don't know how difficult it is to try to get a permit at a later date, but.
Or ask for an extension. Yeah.
Whatever, something,
You would
whatever.
think.
It's
Especially since it's a state agency asking a state agency.
Yeah,
What's
but,
the reasoning they can't get in the building?
They didn't tell me a reason. They just said that's what they're having trouble getting in the building. Because I keep reaching out to them, what's going on? Why aren't you doing this done? So, and of course now we got, you got 2 foot of snow there sitting on
Yeah.
top of this mess. So they're
Yeah.
really not working now anyway.
Yeah.
Thank God we got most of the survey done at the water filter plant last week, the week before it snowed. I think they were out there last week just picking up edge of pavement. So
if it's not their intent to, get into the building anytime soon, they should be burying that corporation in the pipe coming out of the ground. I mean, it seems kind of ridiculous to keep the hole open if it's not their intent.
well, leaving that open trench is ridiculous too, just for safety reasons.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't see why they just don't bury it. What is their reasoning for that, I guess, would be my question.
I guess they haven't been able to pressure test it. So they're leaving that there so they can get the tap,
If
do the
pipe is
testing and the chlorination.
If the pipe is dry, they could leave the corporation on put a curb stop at the end of the piping and, you know, they could probably go with that. I mean, I would certainly.
There's a lot of things they could be doing. I think, you know, it's just they don't seem to want to. So they're content to leave this open and
What
be at
our
risk.
to, you know, to push it along or to tell them to bury it. And, you know, it's, you know, exposing it, you know, with, you know, I'm assuming the corporation is off as it exists, but, you know, it's exposing it to the elements.
Right.
I think they buried that.
Do we want to push and have them?
I mean, I would certainly think we should be, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
you know, I would think so. I mean, I don't know why they would want to leave an open trench. It just, doesn't make sense to me. If it's
I
not.
agree. I agree.
All
All right. Well, I'll reach out to the engineer and the contractor and say we need to get this to some kind of conclusion. Having the open trench and the exposed water main is not the best. We're concerned about its viability once you put it into service.
Even if they have to re-dig it, it's not
Yeah.
that bad.
Not that big a deal. Of course, right now, like I said, they really can't backfill with it frozen. So they've kind of screwed themselves up at this point. You would have think they would have at least put the line in and even backfilled it, just even if they had to test it later, just backfilled it for their own safety.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we're just, you know, silly little, you know, people that seem to, you know, be concerned about that stuff. But,
Yeah.
all right.
Let's see what you can come up with.
Okay. I'll push, see what happens.
All right, make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mary seconds it. All in favor, aye.
Hey, we did good this
Aye.
time. We did good this time. We kept it under an hour.
What, did you want to stay longer? Yeah.
Sure. You know, last time we didn't get Zoom bombed or anything this time. It's just boring. How about that game, huh? Yay. What game?
I can always score it up, believe me.
Yep.
All right.
You're better off.
Yep. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
All right.